Wendell here with Average Use Slow-Pitch. Today we're bringing you the final installment of the one-piece showdown. We're taking the top 7 from our previous videos, along with some that we've swung kind of since those videos released, and we're going to bring them out here. 4 different guys are going to swing them, help them with the whole ranking system, and we'll talk about that a little bit more now. All right, and for this final one-piece showdown we've got here, these were the final 7, as we mentioned, that we've came up with for this final test. We've got the Monster Kinetic, Worth Bedlam, 2024 Juno Vanquish, the new APG, the brand new Anarchy Streets, Resmondo, Greg Cannell, and then Big Chef's Onyx Momentum. So each person, you're gonna see 4 different guys here, are gonna take 5 swings, well 5 good barrels. Obviously if we miss, doesn't really count there, but 5 barrels with each of these. It's gonna be purely USSSA balls. We've done the ASAs in the past, obviously in the previous videos. So if you wanna see how they perform with ASA, go back and watch those. But this is purely USSSA test. So 5 barrels, each person will put them in the rank that they feel was the best to worst. We'll go ahead and total it up. So every time it gets a first place vote, since there's 7 bats, that's 7 points. Second place vote, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll add all 4 totals. So if the Kinetic gets, let's say, first place once, there's 7. If he gets third place, that's gonna be 5. And then so on and so forth, right? So we'll add that all up in the end, and you'll see those totals here at the very, very end. We are trying to beat the win, so we're not gonna have time to also velo here. So what we'll do for this is, once we're done, I'll take it back to the house. I'll still do velo with all 7 of these, 5 good barrels there as well, just so you can kind of see the numbers on these, and then we'll do a final compression once they've been at the house and had a chance to cool down. So let's go ahead, get our swings on this, see how these perform, and see what comes out as the number 1 one-piece on the market currently.
It's always gonna have that sound or what?
Pretty sure when it breaks in.
No, that's when you, that sound is when you miss the sweet spot.
That's what I was saying about. Even this one feels good. You can tell the difference. The lazy flap. You can tell the difference.
It's a compa bag right there. Those are good.
That's a miss. That's fine. I made a tank here. Yay.
All right, through our first hitter, we've got the Kinetic finishing as our top bat, Bedlam 2, Streets 3, Resi 4, Vanquish 5, APG 6, and Momentum 7. Like I said, we're gonna have all 4 people are gonna swing them. We'll stack them that way, and then you'll see here at the end, I'll talk to kind of the point system for how we came out with the final rankings and put them in kind of that final stack.
Nice down. See why I like that one better than another one? Alright?
Sounds right.
Alright, put it away, you like it.
That's good, dude.
You got 1 card.
That's good.
And you can like that a little better. Dude, I think you like that Juno so far the most. Damn it. Dude. You're still pretty new now. Juno. I think you fell in love with that Juno, dude.
Yep.
All right, hitter number 2 is done. We've got on this one, we've got the Vanquish. He's picked as his top bat. Kinetic 2, the new Streets 3, Bedlam 4, APG 5, Resi 6, and then the Honest Momentum right there at that 7 spot. So we'll go ahead, like I said, keep going. We got 2 more hitters. And we're gonna then, once we get done, I'll talk kind of about how that works in the final thoughts. We'll still do a final compression just so you can see where these things are at. But yeah, let's keep it going. Yeah, if you watched the original Big Chef Onyx video, the Momentum's one of those. It's gonna pass compression wise. It is a little of a stiffer feel, so if you like that traditional kind of one-piece feel, that's kind of one of the ones you're gonna lean towards. Obviously, we're here just to kind of all around rank all of them, so.
Tell you not to do that, dude. Oh, was it? Oh, stop.
Yeah, so the biggest thing with APG, again, we've swung on this before, but you got it, with the Louisvilles, you got to get used to the sound, especially on the one pieces. This one's better compared to the previous ones as far as sound goes, but the Sweet Spot itself is one of the hottest you're gonna see on the market. So I know not with everybody just because we got some time restraints, but I will throw all of these on the velo back at the garage later today, just for that kind of consistency number from them all, see where they're at with that. But that Sweet Spot on APG is gonna be tough to beat, I think, with them all, but you do get that really weird sound when you miss the Sweet Spot. See if yeah, Vanquish, I mean, a slightly softer feel than the previous 2. Great sweet spot. That 1 ounce, I mean, you can choose your unloads on these. 1 ounce unload definitely helps it come through the zone. I don't think the Sweet Spot for me feels quite as hot as APG. It's probably a little more forgiving though, and I know for most people, traditional sound-wise, you're gonna like the kind of sound feel on the Juno, so just something to kind of keep in mind there.
Ooh.
Yeah, Resi, another traditional kind of one-piece feel, similar to that Momentum. I mean, you've seen the videos on it. Not much more to going on there. Like I said, we will get the velo, or I will get the velo for you at the garage, just so you can see numbers with them all. Streets is back. Another traditional feel as far as that goes. That 12.5-inch barrel I think we talked about before, and even on the video where this one dropped. But I think it's the perfect kind of length anyways. But sweet spot on it's real good. It's forgiving, good sound overall. But you can't ask for much more than that. That 1 ounce unload's real nice as well with the 12.5. But let's... Too bad that's right at the left field there. It's better. Way over the trees with the... So I'm usually not a softer barrel fan. The Bedlam's one of the few that I really like the way it comes off. Feels great. Not much more to say about it. Go watch Phil Matt swings from the Hall of Fame duel a few weeks ago and you'll see him and a lot of resi use that same exact bat. That's on a miss too. Yeah. Halfway up the trees on a miss. That's not a miss though. Yeah, and I've spoke plenty about the kinetic. Feels great. This one's not even all the way broken in, to be honest. I mean, a lot of these are gonna be pretty close. We'll see where they're at compression wise, but for me, I've got the Kinetic 1, Bedlam 2, APG 3, Streets 4, Juno 5, Resi 6, and then the Momentum Onyx 7. So we got one swinger left. Once he's done, like I said, we'll head back to the garage, compression or velo, compression, and then you'll see kind of the ending point system I'll talk about in the final thoughts. Yeah.
All is good. Oh, I was up front. That's still.
You have a one. Out front, right? That was diving knuckle.
I see what you're saying.
Close. That's the swing. That one. That's a seat.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this one up top.
All right, our fourth and final hitter is complete. For this one, we've got the Kinetic 1, Bedlam 2, Vanquish 3, APG 4, Streets 5, the Resi 6, and then the Momentum 7. So, like I said, I'll take that data, go back to the house, put all the numbers together. I'll explain a little bit more here in the final thoughts. I know we talked about a little bit in the intro, but then what I'll do, just so you can kind of see the numbers in kind of a static environment there, I'm gonna do some velo off of the T, 5 swings with each bat as well. Let the bat sit for a while back home, and then we will do the final compression so you can see what those numbers are in case you care. Final thoughts. All right, we're using all Deemery Razzo Pro Amps, as we kind of mentioned, same thing we use at the field as well.
103 miles per hour. 102 miles per hour.
All right, there's our barrels with the Big Chef Onyx Momentum. Let's move on.
108 miles per hour. 105 miles per hour.
All right, and our barrels with the APG, again, cooking just like we saw in the regular review. But let's go ahead, we'll move over now to the Juno Vanquish 2024.
104 miles per hour. 106 miles per hour.
All right, and our barrels there at the Vanquish, very consistent, kind of as expected with the Juno. We're gonna move on next to the one-piece Resmondo.
104 miles per hour. 103 miles per hour.
All right, there's our barrels with the Resi. Moving on now to the one-piece Streets.
104 miles per hour. 107 miles per hour.
And there's our swings with the Streets. 107 top speed, I believe. Again, I don't have them all memorized. We'll talk about more in the final thoughts. Down to our final two, we're gonna go Worth Bedlam, followed by Monster Kinetic.
105 miles per hour. 106 miles per hour.
And our barrels with the Bedlam. On to the last one, Monster Kinetic.
105 miles per hour. 108 miles per hour.
All right, and that's all of our barrels. We're gonna go ahead, let these bats sit here for just a little while, just because we put some swings on them between the field and here. We'll come back, final compression, so we have those numbers, and then talk about the final thoughts. And like I said, you'll see a graphic at the end of the final thoughts that show average numbers, top speed for all of these, plus the ranking list from everyone at the field. And that's what's gonna give us our total score that we're gonna talk about in the final thoughts. All right, now that our swings and velo are complete, let's see where these final compressions are at. As we kind of mentioned in the beginning, compression's not going to drive how we rank the bats, just because we know compression doesn't matter to everyone. That'll be for you to decide if, let's just say, whatever we rank as the #1 bat ends up failing here, and you see the #2 ends up holding pretty well. That's up to you to kind of decide which one you want to swing. But up first, the Onyx Momentum. And hasn't really moved much, which is what we saw with the original review there. Just barely over 250. So, again, all these bats were passing when we started. And then, obviously, we've put a handful of swings in all of them, so we'll kind of see where they finish at. The Louisville Slugger APG. Way too far already. And 0. And right at 250. Kind of makes sense there as well. Next up, we've got the Easton Resi, the one-piece. That's set at 0. And pretty much same thing, 255. So we've got basically 255, 250, 255. Up next, the Juno Vanquish. At 0. And right at 250, maybe slightly under. But either way, right where we need it to be. So far, this is working out well as far as compressions and where everything's sitting. And then the Streets. At 0. 250. We're seeing a nice little trend here. The Monster Kinetic, which actually started the highest for us, I think it was at 275, if I'm not mistaken. We went too far. Hang on. There's 0. And it's still barely under 275, so that's pretty shocking based on some of the speeds we saw, but good to see. And then the Worth Bedlam. Let's see, are we going to get all of them to pass? We know the Bedlams don't really last that long compression-wise, so we're going to find out. And there it is. Oh, and the Bedlam let us down. So Bedlam's right at 220. So again, all these have about the same amount of swings on them. I think the Kinetic has a few extra just because we were trying to get the compression down a little bit, but didn't obviously work. We'll talk about all this more in the final thoughts. All right, and we're field swings, velo, and final compression complete with, again, our 7 one-pieces. Here in just a second, I'll run through real quick the numbers, kind of what we came up with the final numbers, how we did the scoring, all that kind of stuff. But all in all, just realize, based on the way the ranking system works, whichever bat finishes 7, 1, all that kind of stuff, doesn't mean that that 7th bat's terrible or anything like that. Again, these were the best 7, in our opinion, out of all the one pieces we tested on the showdowns that we've done here over the last couple, I think it was a month or so. So that's kind of what we took out there. Obviously, something had to finish last, something had to finish first, all that kind of stuff. So look at the numbers, base it off of kind of what you enjoy, what you like. So if you see one that maybe had a real high on the averages for the velo, but maybe the top speed wasn't great, but it passed compression, and that's what you're looking for, is that forgiveness, go with that one. If you just want the hottest sweet spot, go with that bat, so on and so forth. So just something to take a look at. Let's go ahead, take a look at the bats, talk real quick through how they kind of finished. And then for all of our visual kind of viewers, at the end of this final thoughts portion, you're going to see a graphic. It's going to have all the different data that you might want as far as that goes. So you can pause it, take a screenshot, whatever, and take a look at all that. All right, and for our total numbers, I promise you I don't have all of this memorized. I've got my computer here, ran the numbers together just so so I can make sure I got this data correct for you. But starting kind of left to right. So for this one, we had the Onyx Momentum, again, Big Chef's bat. I personally think this one feels great. You saw in the initial video, it performs well, holds compression well, especially for starting lower. But for this one today, what we end up doing is each person kind of gave their own rankings 1 through 7. So a bat that finished, if, for instance, in this, Keith for this one gave the Momentum was kind of his last spot, the 7th spot. So if you were in the first spot, you got 7 points, second spot 6, third point spot 5, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, so on and so forth. So you got points for that. So we did that for all 4 people. Then for the total velo, I did velo or top velo points and then average velo points. So the top velo bat got 7, the lowest velo bat got 1. The top bat for averages got 7, the lowest one got 1. Add that all together, and that's how these scores came to be. So for the Momentum, it did unfortunately come in at 6 points. So in all 6 categories, it did finish last. But to put that in perspective, it wasn't by a lot. So with the top velo portion, the Momentum was able to get to 104 for us. The next lowest was 105. So it's only off by a mile per hour as far as that goes. But obviously with this point system, it does cost it there in the rankings. For average velo on there, I don't know if I have this right here in front of me for that. I do. So Momentum was right at 102 miles an hour. So it was only 1 mile per hour again under the next closest one. So you can see how the margins are small when it comes to kind of the total ranking. But again, the whole purpose of this was to use all 4 of the people we had out there, see how they felt about the bats, and then use the velo for just some kind of more of the data and take some of the opinion and bias out of it at that point. So we do have Momentum coming at 6, coming at the 7th spot with 6 points. In our 6th spot, this one was kind of the most surprising for me, is going to be the Easton one-piece Resmondo. I know there's a bunch of hype around this one. I've seen some people paying some crazy prices for these bats. You can obviously continue to do so if that's the bat that you choose that you want to swing, but as you'll kind of see here when the numbers post later on, you've got tons of options for one pieces that are going to give you, I think, a better feel and then obviously better performance. So this one came in at 14 points. The highest rank from any of our hitters today was Anthony put the Resi as his number 4 spot. Everyone else had the Resi as their number 6 spot. So again, all this will be on the screen, but that's what gave it its points. And then for top velo portion, it finished 2nd to last, and for average velo 2nd to last. So its top velo for the Resi was 105, again beating out the Momentum by 1. And then its average velo for the Resi was 103.2. So that put it just a little bit over the Momentum and behind kind of everything else, which we'll talk about here shortly. Then for our 5th spot, we've got the APG Genesis, another one that kind of surprised me for how well it performed on the original video, and then honestly for how good I think it still feels. I think it's one of those where, and a couple of the guys talked about it, the sound really throws people for a loop as well. And so I know that's what caused it to be behind a few. There was, I think Keith and Joe both had it was Keith that had the Jenny and the Juno basically even, but he said basically for him, the sound of the bat, he would rather have a good sound, even though they kind of perform similarly. And so that's where that kind of ranked up there. But for that APG, the highest spot from anybody was myself. I had it 3rd. We had Keith with it 4th, and then Joe had it 5th, Anthony 6th. So you can see there's kind of difference of opinions there. As far as the data piece of it, our velo average on the APG was 103.6, and then our top velo on the APG was 107, which actually had it as our 2nd highest speed, or tied for 2nd highest speed, which we'll get to here shortly. Followed from there, after the APG, we had the Juno Vanquish coming in that 4 spot. The Vanquish, again, top velo for that one was 106. So we're right there, 1 mile per hour behind the APG with an average of 103.6. So tied right there with the APG as well. What jumped the Vanquish ahead of the APG was Joe actually had that as his top bat that we swung. He was the only one to have it there. And then Anthony had it as his 5th bat. I had it as my 5th bat as well, but then Keith had it as his 3rd. So you can see some, again, difference of opinions there. So kind of the whole idea of this was to see how everyone thought these bats felt, and that's what put it a couple spots ahead of the APG. From there, we got the new Streets from Anarchy. This one had a top speed of 107. So it was tied with the APG in that kind of number 2 spot for velo. For the average, however, it beat the Vanquish and the APG at 103.8, so got them by 0.2. So again, very small margins, but again, that's the whole idea here. And then for the streets, it was pretty consistently ranked amongst all of us. Joe had it third, Anthony had it third, I had it fourth, and then Keith had it fifth. So not too much wiggle room there. And again, that's what allowed it to jump ahead. It ended up beating the APG by 4 points and the Vanquish by 2 points. So you'll see on the final graphic, the Vanquish, APG, and streets were all very, very close to one another. And then we had kind of the two that really just ran away with it. So the Bedlam came in as the number 2 for Keith, myself, and Anthony, and then number 4 for Joe. And then it came in with a top speed on the Bedlam at 106. So it was a mile per hour behind the APG in the streets, but its velo average was 105.2, which ended up being our winner for the velo average. And it beat out the next closest, which was our kinetic, which we'll talk about in a second, but it beat out the kinetic by 1.2 miles per hour. So a decent margin there as well. And that's what allowed it to finish at 33 points. Again, about 5 points ahead of the streets, and as you'll find out here in a second, still 7 points behind that kinetic. But again, the only issue with the Bedlam, as you saw there at the end, it did not pass compression. So 2 things. 1, if you don't care about compression, great, swing it, that's great. If you do care about compression, this is one of those that I'm gonna pull straight out of the wrapper and purely just game it until it fails. And just know that that failing point might just be 1, 2, maybe 3 tournaments. I've seen a couple guys swing them, get through 1 or 2 kind of duels, and then they fail and you have to kind of swap them out. So just something to keep in mind there. At that point though, as they get lower in compression, I'm sure they'll break. You can use your warranty on them. So remember, you still get to replace that bat for another one. But that Bedlam is very, very hot. Just understand the compression piece. And then lastly, our winner here, the kinetic. So the kinetic was in the number 1 spot for myself, Keith, and Anthony, and the number 2 spot for Joe. And so that's what really jumped it ahead in points, even going into the velo. But then we got to the velo and the kinetic took the top spot for top velo at 108. And it took the 2nd overall spot at average at 104. Again, 1.2 behind that Bedlam. And so for me, the crazy part about that one is the kinetic was also our highest testing bat, still at 275, or just under 275. It was at 275 when we started. But again, I'm a big fan of the kinetic. I know you've probably seen hopefully you've seen the original video with that one, and then that was in our first showdown. But kinetic, a great bat. They are available right now for pre-order through Monster. Otherwise, if you want one to get on hand now, you're gonna have to find somebody who has one and wants to get rid of it. But all in all, obviously I don't want to keep this too long, but with all these bats you saw there, and you'll see on the graphic, is they're all still very, very close to one another. And really kind of the point of this video was, again, just help you kind of understand that regardless of which bat you put in people's hands, there's going to be a difference of opinions as far as that goes. And then I still wanted some more truth data, which was our velo numbers, things like that. So you saw, hey, how do those sweet spots, can they perform? How does the bat work overall as far as the averages go? All that kind of stuff. And so even though, again, we have that momentum in the Resi ranked kind of 7th and 6th, and then the kinetic, Bedlam 1st and 2nd, there's still not a huge gap between all the bats. Still swing what's comfortable to you. But if you're somebody who's been, I know we've had a lot of people reach out wanting that one-piece Resi, we can still help you find them. But if you just want the one-piece Resi because in your mind it's the best performing bat out there, based on, again, the opinion of just only 4 people, the 4 of us, it's basically the 6th best in this for most of us, and then for one person it was the 4th best. So there's still plenty of options, and even then, I would probably go with any of these options long before I'm spending $350 plus on a bat. So Bedlams, I know some people have them in stock. We'll actually have a bunch that we're getting from Mike Dill just to kind of help out any viewers that want them. But Bedlams we can get for you for right at, I think, $250 right now, so save money there. Kinetic you can pre-order. They should be shipping soon. That's $179.99 plus shipping, so I think it comes out to $200 for Monster. So again, not spending a whole bunch. I don't know if the streets are still in stock. If they are, get with us. I can put you in touch with Travis Plank. That's our connect over there for the Anarchies. He'll get you squared away. If they're not still in stock, keep an eye out. I'm not sure when another release is going to happen. Juno Vanquish, I do believe you can still order those through Juno as well. We do have a code for you there, ADS, when you're over at Juno. I think it comes out to just under 300 shipped, so it is a little more on the pricey side, but again, you'd still be saving $50, if not more, over the Resis. APG still in stock at Slugger, Slo-Pitch, and Headbangers. Both of those sites, you can use code ADS35, get a nice discount on that as well. And you'll have a bat, again, that performs a little better. Probably the most fragile of the group, but again, if you BP it correctly, things like that, it'll last you for a long, long time. Then again, the Resi, it's been sold out. Some will come back in stock here and there, but you're gonna have to worry about getting them quickly or paying a pretty penny for them as well. And then lastly, that Momentum. There are still some on both Onyx's website and Headbangers as well. At both sites, code ADS will save you on those as well. So again, we appreciate you watching the channel. Hopefully this was informative. Hopefully you enjoyed it, but we'll try to bring more videos like this for you. Really the goal here is just to kind of help people out, try to save you some money. Again, the price point we've seen on some of the private sales on some of these was a little ridiculous in my mind. But again, pay what you want. It's your money. If you do really want the Resi, pay for the Resi. If you're just looking for something that's honestly the top performing bat, you've got a ton of options here as well. So as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. AverageYouthSlowPitch.com, the all new website has launched. Check it out. There's tons of stuff on there, rankings, ways to contact us. There's going to be apparel here soon, all sorts of stuff as well. If there's anything else you want to see, we can do better to kind of make these videos more informative for you, or just kind of make them more enjoyable for you. Reach out, let me know. I will do my best to make those changes as well. So as always, appreciate the support. Thanks for checking out the channel. Have a great day, and wait for the end. You'll see the graphic here momentarily.